Those were hard times for us. The landlord, Mr. Grayson, gave us a notice to leave our home in 30 days. We had lived there for 15 years. My father James worked as a clerk at the council, but his small salary barely covered our needs. I was 19 and in college, while my younger sisters Lily and Rose were still in school. We had no extra money and no savings. Finding another place felt impossible. Grayson had raised the rent over the years, but he had been patient with us. Now he wanted to fix up the place and rent out for a much higher price. We couldn't afford it. We had to go. The house was old. Its beams sagged. The plaster was cracked. The rooms were plain. My mother, Evelyn, never liked it, though she never said it out loud. She kept it clean, made flowers bloom in the yard, and decorated the veranda with plants. Sometimes she would sigh and say, "One day, God willing, we will have a proper home, a beautiful one." Dad would get upset and snap at her. "Stop dreaming, Evelyn, we are stuck here." Their arguments hurt, but I understood her. She wanted more than this hard life. We started looking for a new house. Mom had hope again. Dad wanted something close to my college, the girls' school, a bus stop, and a market. But every house we saw had problems. If it was in a good location, the rent was too high. If it was cheap, it was damp and broken down. I went with him to check places every day. Each time Mom would remind me, "Make sure it's well built, Thomas." I promised myself that when I graduated and got a job, I would build her the home she dreamed of. Dad couldn't do it, not with his small salary. One day, Dad met a man named Harold Finch at an estate agency. Finch was friendly and full of big promises. He told us about a house that was brand new and affordable. The owners had moved to America and just wanted tenants to take care of it. "No need for a watchman," he said. "A family will look after it better." Dad frowned. "Sounds expensive and far too hard for the kids to get to school." Finch waved off his worries. "Take a look. If it's not right, you can walk away." After days of disappointment, Dad agreed. We drove out to Hollow Lane, a quiet road far from town. Finch followed us in his van. When we arrived, I couldn't believe my eyes. It wasn't just a house. It was a bungalow, big and modern, with a large lawn, though the grass was overgrown. Inside, the floors shined, the ceilings were high, and the bathrooms had fancy showers and tubs. "We can't afford a palace," Dad said. Finch just smiled. "Same rent as your old place, $1,500. The owners just want a good family to take care of it." I spoke up. "It's perfect, Dad. Mom will love it. I can take Lily and Rose to the bus stop." Dad wasn't sure, but I kept pushing. "New houses are being built nearby. I will be working soon. We can save for our own place." "Really?" I just wanted Mom to be happy. That night, I told her all about it. Her eyes lit up. "If it were not dark, I would go now," she said, already thinking about furniture. The next evening we all went. Dad, Mom, the girls and me. Mom gasped as she walked through the rooms. Lily cheered. I will study so well here," Rose added. "We can play badminton in the yard." Mom looked at the half-built house next door and said, "Never soon, maybe. Good ones, God willing." Seeing her happy, Dad gave in. A week later, we moved in. Mom and the girls cleaned every inch, cut the grass and planted flowers. Soon the place looked beautiful. Then the strange things started happening. One day, Rose was taking a bath when the water suddenly stopped. "Mom!" she yelled. Mom brought a bucket of water from the kitchen, but when she checked the tap, the water was running again. "You didn't turn it properly," she said. Rose insisted she had. Mom turned it off, but as she stepped away, the tap turned itself back on. She frowned and shut off the main valve, but then the shower turned on by itself, soaking her. "These taps are cursed," she muttered. I checked later. Everything seemed fine. We ignored it. A few days later, I was washing my face when the tap ran dry. I checked the other faucets. No water anywhere. Mom swore she had filled the water tank in the morning, but when I looked, it was empty. I fetched water from the neighbor's house. Later that day, I turned on the kitchen tap. Water flowed like normal. "It's back," I called. But when I checked the tank again, my stomach dropped. It was full of wet stones. "Stones?" I whispered. Mom's face went pale. "It was water this morning." As we started, the stones disappeared. The tank filled with water again. "What is this?" I whispered. Then there was Uncle Charlie, Mom's cousin, who had moved in with us. He was quiet and didn't talk much. One night at 4 a.m., his screams woke us up. We ran to him. He stood at the bathroom door, shaking, his eyes wild with fear. "He would not let me in," he cried. "Who?" I asked. He whispered, "Teeth, horns," and shivered. Mom whispered prayers, her voice trembling. Charlie suddenly calmed down and muttered, "Gone, gone." We didn't sleep that night. The worst moment came one afternoon. I was trimming the lawn when I saw a snake in the grass. But it didn't move like a normal snake. It was hanging in the air, twisting, as if something invisible was holding it. I froze, too scared to scream. Then it disappeared. I ran inside shaking. "Something is here," I told Dad. A fever hit me that night. Mom sat beside me, placing cool cloths on my forehead, her face filled with worry. Her dream house had turned into a nightmare. That night we decided to leave. As we packed, a woman stopped Mom at the gate. "I hate this place," she said, staring at the bungalow. "No one stays here long. It's haunted. Next door's cursed too. Workers died there, so they left it unfinished." Mom's hands shook. "We have been here 2 months." The woman's eyes widened. "And you are still alive?" Just then, Lily screamed from the kitchen. We ran in. The faucets were gushing blood, thick and red. The smell of iron filled the room. Mom clutched her chest. "I was going to call a priest," she whispered. Maybe whatever was in the house had heard her. That day, we fled Hollow Lane, leaving Mom's beautiful house behind. It wasn't ours anymore. Maybe it never was.